Welcome to a Faithful God podcast. I'm your host, Tammy, and today on the show, we're going to talk about how to forgive someone who isn't sorry. So grab those earbuds and your favorite beverage and join me for today's show. Well, hey friend, happy Wednesday. For all my U.S. friends, if you are watching in real time, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I am so excited. I don't know about you, but I love the holidays. And I love all the fixins for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of the things. So yeah, I am so excited. It's actually going to be a different Thanksgiving for us this year. We are just doing it by ourselves this year because my mom is going out of town. My sister and her family, they're going to be around, but my son, my youngest, who is a police officer, he actually works the night before and the night of Thanksgiving. So we have to just kind of sandwich Thanksgiving in there. So it's a little bit different, but it's still going to be wonderful and very excited about it. So I hope you're doing well. But listen, friends, so I have to be honest with you. I'm anxious about this podcast episode. You've probably heard the saying to speak from a scar, not an open wound. Well, I am not doing that today. I'm actually speaking to you from an open wound. And I'm kind of anxious. So what's so funny is God just cracks me up sometimes. And I just love how he protects us in his great mercy. So this week, I really didn't have a lot prepared for the podcast episode. I'm working on something else that I'm trying to get out and deadline by the end of the week and that. And so everything else is, we can't create more margin in our life, right? We all have the same amount of hours in our day. So we have to kind of pick and choose and do trade-offs and stuff like that. But anyway, so I didn't have really anything planned for this week with it being a short week. And as far as a podcast episode that goes along with the blog post and all of that. But I kept asking God, okay, what is it you want me to talk about this week? What is it you want me to talk about this week? And I was hearing nothing, which is unusual. I wasn't worried because I knew God would provide, but in his great mercy, last night before recording this and such, I just felt him say that I needed to talk about forgiveness today. And as I woke up this morning and really started hearing him and what he wants to, and that he wants me to share my story. And I think in his great mercy, he did not do this and give this to me or ask this of me in a, too far in advance because he knew I would be anxious. He knows, the hard times that I'm going through regarding this. And so, yeah, he's just so cool that way in protecting us. But I also know that when God asks to do something, that I am going to be obedient. And as hard as it's going to be to share my story, I'm not going to share every single detail because there's a lot that is still going on. But I'm going to share my story today, and it's not an easy one. So I've got some notes and stuff, and I am going to keep looking at those. So I make sure I was trying to sit down and really write down some notes. So I make sure that I stick to things and remember some things that, maybe I need to talk to you about. So anyway, so yes, let's talk about this, right? I need to sip of chai here. So I am going to, by the way, share some things that I'd like for you to do. If you are struggling right now with forgiving someone, if you're having a hard time, someone who isn't sorry, someone who keeps hurting you, I am going to give you a few things, three different things that I want to talk about and just to kind of help you along. And I feel like this is so timely, and I feel like the reason God is calling me to do this at this time is with the holidays coming up. I know that so many of us spend time with friends and family that we love, but there's also sometimes for some of us, we have to maybe spend time with someone that we've been hurt by, right? That has really hurt us deeply. So over the years, I have had a relationship in my life that I have to have, by the way. I just want to preface that. I have to have this relationship, and there's been a lot of hurt over the years. I didn't grow up. I grew up with a family that just was so full of love and that poured into me and my sister. And, so when this relationship came about, it was very different for me. And so there has been a lot of hurt over the years. I'm not going to go through my whole list of all the ways I was wronged because that does not promote healing. And so, and it wouldn't make any difference anyway. It doesn't matter. But I've been hurt over the years and it's gone on for a very, very long time. And in the beginning, it was a lot of sadness and hurt. And then I'm just going to be very vulnerable with you and be I'll be an open book because I know that some of you maybe are thinking, yeah, me too, me too. So in the beginning, I was very hurt for many, many years, very hurt, very sad. And then I became bitter and angry and ticked off. Excuse me, I had to get a sip of my chai and ticked off that someone would treat me this way. And it involved a couple different people over the years and such. So what happened though was, I don't know, a short while ago, not that long ago, we actually were together and watching a movie. Everything was great. We were watching a movie and, oh, hey, let's watch a movie. We've had a great day and, all these things. And okay, let's watch a movie. I love to watch movies. My husband and I we love watching movies and binge watching TV shows and stuff like that. Well, so we watched this movie and I've been told, was told by this person that, oh, it's a great movie. It's so good. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Well, in this particular movie and, one of the characters was just very mean, very vindictive, just ugly. And something happened in me. And again, I haven't shared this really with too many people. It's just a very small handful, but something happened while I was watching this movie. And all of a sudden I felt the walls start closing in and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I felt like someone was sitting on my chest. And so I was trying really hard to politely get up and go elsewhere so I could, oh, I'm tired. I'm just so tired. I can't hardly stay awake, that kind of thing. And so, no, but then what it was met with was, no. And not in an unkind way, by the way, but no, you're going to love this. This is such a great movie. And so I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the movie and I 100%, I have no doubt it's because of what happened while I was doing that. Haven't had anything like that happen to me before. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't want to express it. I didn't want to, I just wanted to remove myself and get away and try to process what on earth was happening to me because it was so bizarre. It was just, and those things that happen physiologically in you and you can't control it, but it's still so frustrating and you want to have control. And so I had no control here. So anyway, so we went through got through the movie and through the night I couldn't sleep because all of these, what am I trying to say? Memories. Okay. So there were a lot of memories that I had. Remember, I talked about that long list of all the wrongs, all the reasons I've been wronged. I had that long list, but there were many, many memories that, to be honest with you, I had totally forgotten about. I had completely, or I thought, pushed them down and locked them up so I didn't have to deal with them again. And all of those came flooding back. All of these other things that happened that came flooding back to me. And so I spent a long time, and by the way, still am, but I was the word bewildered is coming to mind to me. I was so confused by what happened. It was a movie. Everything was fine. We were having a great day. And then my brain just was screaming, danger, 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 get out, get out, get out. So it's one of those things that you just can't control. And what I learned in the process, which is so fascinating to me. I'm so fascinated by this, but is that over the years, I started digging into it afterwards. I'm just one of those people. I want to understand what's going on. I can tolerate things better. I can handle things better if I understand why they're happening. Excuse me, I just had to get another sip of chai. I've got my nice warm cup of chai here, so I'll be sipping that. But anyway, I just deal and tolerate things better. I can process things better. I think we all can if we understand why, right? So I started looking into this and discovered that what's been happening over the years as I've been, this has been emotional trauma. Now, I'll be honest with you, at first I'm like, this is not trauma. This is not trauma. I haven't been, and by the way, for those of you, I want you to understand, I don't say this lightly, but all the big things in life that you think of with trauma. And, I've never been held at gunpoint. I've never gone through abuse, physical abuse. I've never been through, anything like a big trauma like that. So I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy, Tammy. You have not had emotional trauma. This can't be you, kind of thing. But what happened and what I learned, and still have so much to learn. And by the way, I want to preface to say, obviously, I am no expert in this, but it just fascinates me. The human body fascinates me. And what fascinates me even more is the way God created us. And so God created our brains to protect us and to be able to alert us when there is danger. So when we're in a situation that feels dangerous, whether it's dangerous or, like a true danger or not, our brains are going to immediately click in. And so what they do is they create these neural pathways. Our brains create these neural pathways throughout our life, through the different things that we experience to help protect us from anything bad happening. Well, the cool thing is we can actually rewire our brains. We can actually work, and it's a lot of work. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a lot of work, but we can work to reprogram our brains, which is just so incredibly fascinating. But in this time, and I wound up having to see a counselor, and which, by the way, I am all for. I think if you are really struggling with forgiveness, and struggling to forgive someone who's hurt you, a good Christian counselor, I say yes, sign up right now. Like seriously, press pause on this and call somebody. Look it up. Google, Christian counselors near me and get a good Christian counselor, because this is hard stuff. It is really hard stuff, And so when we have people come in and out of our lives and people that hurt us, for a lot of those situations, we can say, well, you know what? This isn't a healthy situation for me. So therefore I am not going to stay in this relationship. But sometimes we have relationships that we don't have a choice. These are, they're people that are in our lives and we don't have a choice. And so we've got to learn how to work through that. And so I've spent this, time since then. It's been, it was a while ago, not years ago, but a while ago. And I've spent a lot of time really processing it. I spent a lot of time trying to heal from it. I've spent a lot of time going back and forth between anger and hurt, bitterness, all of those feelings. And so the reason I wanted to share my story and to do that first before I get into a couple things that I want to try to help you with is because as we go into the holidays, I know some of you are going to be with people. And even if it's not in the holidays, even if you're listening to this, that's, at a different time of the year, I know we all have relationships that or so many of us have had relationships that have been incredibly hard and that have done some real mental damage, emotional damage. And so I want you to know I understand you. I see you. I know how difficult this is. I understand that God calls us to forgive. We are to obey and, walk in obedience. And that is something God expects of us is to forgive, but knowing it and feeling it are two very different things. And it's really hard to process these things and to move past them especially when you still have to have them in your life and they aren't sorry and they keep doing the same things, right? So, Yeah, it's tough stuff for sure. Let me take another sip of my chai. So yeah, so I wanted to just give you a few tips, a few things that I've learned in this time as I've, seen a counselor and read a book, which I will share with you guys in just a little while, but a book that I think every person that needs to walk through forgiveness should get. It's a phenomenal book by Lisa Turkhurst. And I spent a lot of time just really broken and sad. And the problem is, like for me particularly, this relationship in my life, I have tried so hard to not be this way to other people in my life because of it. But rather than it making me, am I saying this right? Rather than being mindful of what not to do, it's actually paralyzed me in how to behave in other relationships and in my life. It's gotten to the point, like it's paralyzed me. I will wind up in just a big ball of tears, like I said, I'm being very vulnerable here and trying not to get teary-eyed, but it's really affected other relationships in my life because of the trauma that I experienced all these years. And so, so I just want you to understand, I see you, I get you, and I want you to know there is hope. There is healing for you. God wants that for you. And so it is possible to forgive someone that isn't sorry. It is possible to enjoy your life again and not be, you almost feel like you're in like this prison or this bondage from this relationship. And it's an awful place to be. It is debilitating. It is, like I said, I felt paralyzed, and it's really affecting other relationships in my life because I'm trying so hard to not be what this person has been to me. And so it's really, really been hard, and I understand you. So let's get on. There are 3 things today that I just really want to help you with and help you to be mindful of as you walk through forgiveness, as you try to heal. And that's number 1 is just that, is forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you and your healing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I just sit here and forgive me because I'm processing all of this. Again, I am teaching from an open wound today. So as I process this with you, forgive me because it really is bringing a lot of anxious thoughts to mind. And I'm trying to do this. I know, everything that I have learned as a business owner is you do not teach from an open wound, but a scar. And here I am doing this, but I just really feel like God has been calling me to do that. So again, forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about you and your healing. Let God take care of them. I was watching a show. You guys, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Shack or read the book. Holy moly. Talk about a book on forgiveness. Talk about a really impossible situation. In it, I don't want to give it away if you haven't read it. It's a hard book. I'm not going to lie. It's a really hard book. But this little girl is kidnapped and unfortunately killed, and so her family is trying to heal from that, is trying to forgive. And there's a scene in the movie where Jesus is out there with this father in the woods, and the father is so angry, so angry, and he says, "But I want him to hurt the way he the way he hurt me." And Jesus says, "Oh, so we're back to you again." And then also in that scene, he says something along the lines of, he says, "But when the guy says, I want him to hurt, he says, I know you do, but he's my son and I want to heal him also." God. That's tough, isn't it? I mean, I can't help but laugh because when someone has hurt you so bad, even though, like, I never grew up as a vindictive person. I never grew up. I was always, like I said, I grew up with a family that poured into me. I'm so grateful for that. I will be grateful for that every single day. Don't get me wrong. Not that we didn't have some dysfunction in our family. I think we all have a little dysfunction, but I really didn't grow up like that. I as after this happened, that little, the thing that I was telling you about, where I felt the walls coming in around me and stuff. What I realized was I really took a step back, and I had become a vindictive person back. I wanted them to hurt as much as they have hurt me over the years. And I'm not like that in any other relationship in my life. I'm like, what is going on? This is not who I am. That's not who I am at all. And yet I became the same person because I was so bent on them hurting as much as they hurt me. Yeah. But that whole thing of, and God wants to redeem them too. Dang it. What do we talk about all the time in the community? It's not about us. We were made to make God known and bring him glory. And when we react in a way that doesn't bring God glory, when we react back to them, or our response to them is ugly, just as ugly as they are to us, it's not making God known and bringing him glory. Man, is this tough. This is tough because, again, we've got that long list of all the ways they have hurt us. It's so hard to let that go. So I want you to pray. I want you to, go to God and say, Lord, help me let that list go. That list is what's keeping us in the pain. Man, it's hard, friends. It is so hard. It is so hard. Number 2, I want you to know, you don't need an apology to forgive someone. Dang it. But we want it, right? We just want them to apologize. We don't need an apology, my friends, in order to heal. Because again, forgiveness is about healing. And if we want to heal, if we want to move forward, if we want to make God known and bring him glory, we don't need to stay stuck in our situation, stuck in our hurt and our pain. We don't need to do that in order to heal. We don't need that apology to bring us out of that hurt and pain. We don't. Because here's the thing, we may never get it. We may never get an apology, but we can still heal. It's hard, friends. I just want that apology, doesn't it? Just like, I just want it. Just please apologize. Open your eyes to the hurt you have caused me, right? We may never get that apology, my friend. But I darn sure will tell you, and I think you feel the same way. When I get to heaven, I want Jesus to say, well done, good and faithful servant. And if I sit here in my pain and my bitterness and my vindictiveness towards, in this particular relationship, that was not well done, good and faithful servant. That wasn't right. Feels good in the moment, but it's not the people we want to be. Like I said, friend, this isn't easy. This isn't easy. This is hard stuff. I think this is truly one of the most difficult things. And I say that as, a chronic illness warrior going through a chronic illness. I mean, this has broken me ever since that night, that movie night. This has literally broken me in so many ways, in so many beautiful ways. Never in a million years would I have said that about this relationship in my life. Never. But it has. I'm still an open wound. But it's really, changed me in beautiful ways. And I have still so much changing to do. So much to do. Okay, number 3. All right, are you ready for this? It's okay to set boundaries. Boundaries aren't meant to, they are to keep people out, but I want you to, let's change the narrative. It's okay to set boundaries to hold yourself together. It's okay to set boundaries. That does not make you a bad person. Now, you don't have to be ugly about it. You don't have to be vindictive about it. You can set healthy boundaries that are meant to keep you whole and together. All right. Let me read a couple. I've got my notes here and I just want to make sure I read this. Like I said, I was trying to write down all these notes because I just wanted to make sure I said what, that I didn't forget anything here. But boundaries, okay, I've got a quote here from Lisa Turkhurst. Boundaries aren't to push people away. They're to hold us together. And then in the book, she also says, and by the way, that book, I'm going to talk about it again in a moment, but she says, what we allow is what we live. You got that? Catch that? Excuse me. What we allow is what we live. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay to set boundaries, my friend. In fact, it's important to set boundaries around relationships like this. The next one is, I will not crumble if someone accuses me of being wrong or ugly, or, if someone thinks it's wrong for us to set boundaries, that's okay. They can think they're wrong. I will not crumble. And I will tell you, for me personally, since I'm sharing so much here today, I actually, again, this involved, like my particular hurt involves a few people, a couple people. And, I had to repeat this to myself again and again and again. I will not crumble if one of them gets upset with me for setting boundaries. I won't crumble. And I had to say that again and again and again. You stand tall, my friend. You will not crumble. You right now are working with God to heal. You are working with God to forgive. You are working to make yourself whole again. It is possible to forgive someone who isn't sorry. The biggest thing we need to do, my friend, because in the beginning, especially when we've got that long list of wrongs, of all the ways they have wronged us, we don't want to forgive, right? But you see, when we start to change, when we keep asking God, and let me tell you, I can't tell you how many prayers, I've lost count how many times I've said to God, God, I don't want to forgive this person. Lord, they have hurt me. I don't want them in my life. I don't want to forgive this person. But Lord, change me. Change me, Lord. Change my heart. Give me a heart of forgiveness. That's where you have to start, my friend. You have to ask God to have a heart of forgiveness. Because what that shows God is that you are willing. You're not going to do it in your own strength, my friend. Oh my gosh, we have these earthly desires, this earthly need to make them pay or see them pay for all the hurt they've caused. It's okay. We don't have to do this on our own. God wants to do it with us. Jesus wants to take us by the hand. All we have to do is be willing. Lord, you know my heart right now. Please change it. And for a long time, that is where my prayer stopped. It took a long time for me to even get to that point. I had to be willing to let those walls down. I had to be willing to let go and surrender my hurt and my pain. And it took me a long time to get there. So my friend, if that's you, I want you to know that does not make you a bad Christian. Because see, what you're doing is you're leaning into God and you're asking for his help. That makes you a child of God that understands that this is hard and painful. There's so much hurt and anger and bitterness and all of the feelings that go along with it. But that shows that you need God. When you let him know, when you say the words, even if you don't feel it right now, when you say, Lord, change my heart. Lord, I don't want to forgive. What is that Bible verse? And you know what? I don't even know what it is. What was that story when he says, when the man, what was it? It was in the New Testament. We just were talking about this, I believe it was in Grow Your Faith Community. And there's a man that says he was talking about healing with Jesus. Oh, forgive me. He was talking about healing with Jesus. And he says something along the lines of, Jesus, I have faith in you, but help me with, I believe in you, but help me with my unbelief. And I love that because what he's saying is, he's willing. Lord, I believe in you because how many times do we say, Lord, I trust you? And then we take it back again, right? I trust you, but I have faith in you, but, right? But that man, I love it because he is so honest. He says, I believe in you, Lord, but help me with my unbelief. Because we believe him for this and this and this and this. But boy, when it comes to forgiveness and healing, when someone has hurt us, Lord, help me with that. Help me with my unforgiveness. It's okay to say this to God. Don't hide your feelings. He already knows them. Just saying the words, even when you don't feel them just yet, you keep saying them and you keep saying them and you do it again and again and again until you begin to feel it. Until you are willing to forgive. And then say, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but help me with my unforgiveness. Change my heart, Lord, and give me a heart of forgiveness. Lord, I lay them at your feet. We're not going to worry about them and what they're going through right now. In fact, in this book, she talks about hurt people hurt people. Make sense? Hurt people, hurt more people. And she talks about that. And there's all these things that go along with what they're going through, right? But we're not going to worry about them right now because right now, not that we're not going to pray for them. We're still going to pray for them when we get to that point, right? But we're not going to worry about them right now because right now what we need to do is have a heart of forgiveness. And right now, that is a massive mountain to climb for so many of us. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep our focus right on God, right on Jesus, who's holding us by the hand and walking with us. And saying, I know you're hurt, my friend. He says, I know you're hurt, my daughter. And I'm going to heal you. He says, are you going to come with me? Are you going to take me by the hand and allow me to walk through healing with you? It's not easy, friends. I know that. I want you to know I see you. I understand you. I feel your pain. And listen, I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM. If you are struggling with this, send me a DM. Let's stand in prayer together. You and I, let's stand in prayer together that we are going to continue to heal, that we are going to continue to walk through forgiveness, that we are going to finally break free of the chains, the bond that unforgiveness has on us. We're not going to allow other people to change us. I'm trying to think of the right words. We're not going to allow other people to affect us in this life. It's hard. It's so hard. What is it? I've always said to the boys, always said to them, we can't change what happens to us, but we can control our reaction to the situation. We can walk in love. Is it easy? No, it's not. It's one of the hardest things we go through, right? But let's right now, if you're struggling to forgive, let's not look at all of the other things right now. Let's just look at God. Let's just keep our focus on him. Let's just ask that he change our heart and give us a heart for forgiveness. Let's worry about us and God and healing right now. All the other stuff will come later. The repair, the restoration. You see, we serve a God of impossibility. What we feel is impossible, like, excuse me, like forgiving someone who isn't sorry, that's impossible. Forgiving someone who keeps hurting over and over and over again, that feels impossible. But you see, we serve a God of impossibility. We serve a God who wants to heal, who wants to restore. Will every relationship be restored? No, not necessarily. But the important thing is that you heal. The important thing is that you heal from this so you can go on and live a fruitful life. We're going to be talking about this and working through this in the Grow Your Faith community as well, as we grow closer to God, as we learn to trust God. We've got to walk through forgiveness, and that's coming up in the next few months, but we've got to walk through forgiveness. And until we do that, we can't experience all God has for us. And all it starts. Remember, we talked, I think we talked about this on the show. I know we talked about it in Grow Your Faith, but we talked about the faith of a mustard seed. And I don't know if, gosh, forgive me. I can't remember if I did this on a podcast episode or not, but the faith of a mustard seed is like a little, like a mustard seed is just like that pinpoint, a fine point marker. And I'm pointing to my pinky if you're on YouTube, because I just took a fine point marker and put it right on my finger just so you could see how small a mustard seed is. But that's all we need right now, friends. In order to heal, that's all we need is faith of a mustard seed, that tiny itty bitty mustard seed. That mustard seed that grows into the largest of all garden plants, right? If we want to walk through forgiveness, all we have to do first and foremost to take that first step is just say, God, I don't want to right now, but I want to get there. Change my heart. Change my heart. So friend, I know this was a little different today. I know I wound up going into what a normal podcast is. And again, I didn't share my story so you can say poor Tammy or, oh, look at Tammy, because no, I am broken. Like completely broken with this. This is a wound that is open. It's healing. It is healing for sure. But I still have so far to go. I still have a long ways to go. But it's so cool when you start leaning into God, when you start surrendering these feelings that you have, when you start surrendering and let go of the other person, man, God will move mountains. And he moves so much faster than we do on our own, right? He really, really does. So often we want to sit in the pain. We want to hold on to those grudges because it just feels so good, right? And when we start letting that go, man, things move. They move. They really do. So, Fred, I told you I was going to tell you about this book. So I will tell you, I think anyone who is struggling with forgiveness, I think every single person should read this book. It's called Forgiving What You Can't Forget by Lisa TerKeurst. And it is so good. I'm going to tell you, this book took me several months to work through. It broke me in all the right ways. I cried hard. I keep a journal. You guys know I keep a prayer journal. And there would be days where I would read maybe a couple of sentences. And then maybe I would write in my prayer journal. Some days, yes. Some days I would just sit on those 2 sentences for a couple of days. And there were times that I would have to take many days of break in between the book and, in between like getting into the book because, man, it takes you through some things that you just, that whole surrender thing, right? And it takes you through a lot of brokenness, a lot of hurt. But I'll tell you what, Lisa TerKeurst knows pain. I felt like throughout it, even though it's a little bit different situation, the big forgiveness thing that she had to go through and versus mine. And I know with yours, some of you will experience the same thing or have experienced the same thing she has. Others won't. But the thing is I felt like so often it was like she was writing directly to me. Tammy, this, and this. Tammy, this, and this. I mean, she understands pain. She understands unforgiveness. And this book is one that I think everybody should have. And I will tell you, I haven't done it yet, but I am going to work through it again. I haven't done it yet because it's been, it's not easy. It's hard, but it is one I'm going to keep. And it's one where I've dog-eared the pages and I've highlighted and done all the things. So yeah, it's a phenomenal book. I really recommend it for anyone. It's really good. It's very powerful. And I'll put the link in the show notes for this book so you can grab it. But yeah, friend, I want you to know I see you. I understand you. And I would love to hear from you. If you are struggling with forgiveness right now, send me a DM. Let's stand together in prayer, right? We know that where two or more gather, God is there among us. And so let's stand together in prayer. We're going to get through this, friends. And if you're dealing with this through the holidays, I just want you to know I'm here for you. Send me that DM. I would love to stand in prayer with you. And yeah. And friend, if this blessed you today, I would absolutely love it if you would share it with a friend. It would mean the world to me if you would. We want to get this out there. We want to help each other. We want to stand together as sisters in Christ and help each other heal. Isn't it so great that God gave us each other, that we could walk through these things together? Would absolutely love that. Make sure wherever you are watching, or listening, be sure to subscribe to the show. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love it if you would give me a big thumbs up. That helps as well. And also, friends, I mentioned Grow Your Faith Community a couple times in here. I am telling you what, we are having so much fun over there. If you are interested in joining the waitlist, enrollment isn't open just yet for Grow Your Faith Community, but you can go to growyourfaithcommunity.com. Each and every month, I put out a brand new Bible study. This next month, we're about to come into Advent. We're going to sit and do an Advent study together. We also, I provide a daily Bible reading plan, so that way you don't have to figure out where to start. We do Facebook Live Q&As. We do monthly Zoom mentoring calls, which I love those. Those are a lot of fun. And it's really, really helpful to meet with everybody and do these things. So we do those. And then we're actually getting ready to have our first guest speaker in the group. She's going to talk about self-care. If you're watching, it doesn't matter whether you're watching in real time or not, but she's going to come on and we're going to talk about self-care for the holidays, and just to make sure that we are grounded in God and taking care of ourselves through the holidays. We're also about to start some co-working sessions, which are just Bible study sessions where we'll meet on Zoom for about not very long, because what I want to do is help you grow closer to God, and I want you to see how easy it is to get into the Bible each day. So we'll meet on Zoom. We'll work quietly for about 10 to 15 minutes, looking at the Bible verse, maybe looking some things up and studying it. We'll come back together for about 10 to 15 minutes to talk about it, and then be on our way. So we're going to start doing those as well. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So go to growyourfaithcommunity.com and join the wait list. And once that opens up, then we'd love to have you in there for sure. So friend, listen, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will meet you back here next week for another episode of A Faithful God Podcast.